And so we've got this, I know you can't see that, Amy, but we'll just look through it. Ideas about grandmothers that we all came up with. And these were your ideas, remember? That grandmothers are wrinkly, old, they bake, they knit, they're kind, maybe a bit fat, they're always at home, and that they play cards. Alright? Question, is this what all grandmothers are like?
No.
Because I don't think I'm very much like any of that. You know I'm not kind. I'm certainly not always at home, but I am a grandmother. So are these ideas perhaps stereotypes?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just to give you an idea of what I sort of mean by stereotypes, okay. Now this text we're going to look at this morning, I believe we can learn a few things about stereotypes from it too. And I think it might be a good idea if we just read it out loud, okay? So we'll just take a quick paragraph each. Maybe I'll start. So it's called Andy and Stanley. One day Andy's mum told him to get ready to go out. She was visiting an old school friend who had just moved to their town.
Why do I have to come, Mum? Protested Andy. It will be really boring listening to two ladies talking all afternoon.
Floyd?
Wendy has a son about your age, replied Mum, and he'd like to meet you as he doesn't know anyone here yet. I think he's a bit lonely.
Andy thought it might be quite fun to meet a new kid and maybe a friend. He decided to take his new soccer ball and a couple of PlayStation games. They'll probably go outside and play for most of the afternoon and maybe play on a PS if the boy had one. When it got a bit cold later in the day.
Thank you, Cameron. Yeah.
They arrived at the house and knocked at the door. It was answered by a lady of about Mum's age. She invited them in and said hi to Andy. This is my son Stanley. He's so looking forward to meeting you, Andy.
Now the next paragraph's quite big, so maybe you two girls might share it. Maria, you start.
The boys stood in the doorway. Andy's heart sank. He could tell straight away that Stanley was not going to be a friend of his. Stanley was short and quite chubby. He obviously ate too many burgers and chips and didn't even try to have his 5 plus a day quota of fruit and veg. Andy liked junk food as well as the next person, but there's no way he could ever let himself get fat on it.
Thanks, Maria. Amy?
He did so much sport he didn't have
He'd have a job putting weight on. Anyway,
This
Stanley clearly didn't believe in exercise. Andy's ideas about playing soccer were not going to come true. He could tell.
Thanks, Amy. And James to finish off, please.
Stanley wore glasses and was holding a huge book under his arm. Andy caught sight of the word science in the title. This boy was obviously a total nerd who would rather read a textbook than play sport or PlayStation. Andy knew he was going to have a seriously boring afternoon listening to the show-off Dudley Dursley kid talk about how great he was at school. Boy, he was going to make his mum pay for this.
Thank you, James. Thank you all very much. All right. Have you noticed any stereotypes in this? Who do you think the author has written about in a very stereotyped way? Chloe?
Stanley.
In what ways? What do you think the author said that is kind of a stereotype about a certain sort of person? Anybody? Amy?
He's fat eats a lot of junk food.
Do we know that? In fact, let's have a look at some actual facts about Stanley. What actual facts has the author given us? We know that is he fat? What does the text say? That he's quite
Chubby.
Is chubby the same as fat? It's heading in that direction, I suppose. Okay, he's chubby. What other facts are there?
He looks like a nerd.
Is that a fact?
And he wears glasses.
Okay, he wears glasses. Good. He wears glasses. Whose idea is it that he looks like a nerd?
Who's Andy?
Right, so maybe we could do another heading. We've got facts here about Stanley, and I think we need another heading. Other ideas about Stanley. And Andy thinks that he looks like a nerd. But is that a fact? What does a nerd look like?
Dumb person.
Okay, what other facts do we know about him?
Who?
I'm sorry?
About who?
Stanley.
Oh.
What other facts? Actual facts, not opinions, but actual facts.
He likes science. He likes reading textbooks
How do we know that?
because it says.
What does it actually say?
Andy
He
said
would rather read a textbook than play sport or.
Alex, have you got something to add to that?
that's what Andy thought. He thought he would rather read a textbook.
Yeah, so Andy thinks he'd possibly rather read a textbook. What do we know? What's the actual fact about the book he's reading?
It's a science book.
Is it? What do we actually know? What does the text actually say about the book?
He caught sight of the word science.
Right, he's holding a large book, yes? And it's got science in the title. Okay. Chloe,
It looks like he would like to read better than playing on the PlayStation.
is that a fact? Or is that one of Andy's ideas about him?
Andy's ideas.
Okay. Say it again, huh?
He would rather read a book than play on the PlayStation.
Right. Well, I'll just put then play because Andy thinks he'd rather read a textbook than play anything, sport or on the PlayStation. Okay. Any other ideas or facts that you think we learned from this about Stanley?
Andy thought he might make a friend.
Sorry?
Andy thought he might make a friend with Stanley.
He thought that to start with, and then what did he think later?
No.
No, he thought not.
He thought that he wasn't going to make a friend because he didn't look like he was going to play sport or even play on the PlayStation.
Because he'd rather read a textbook than do that. What about the one near the end? What did Andy think Stanley would be talking about all afternoon?
How great he is at school.
Right, he thought he would do that. Okay, let's look at the actual facts we've learnt. We've learnt he's chubby, he wears glasses, and he's holding a book with the word science in the title. Do we learn anything else about him that is factual, that is a fact, that is not an opinion? Have a quick look back through the last couple of paragraphs and see if there's anything else that is a fact about Stanley. Yep.
He's obviously like science or something.
All we know for sure is the book he's holding's got science in the title.